Chapter 4 of Mass Control. Tavistock. One prominent locus of world control, its influence spreading throughout the media, the scientific establishment, corporations, governments, and the military, is the Tavistock Institute. Tavistock, a collaborative effort of British military intelligence and the psychiatric establishment, was created in 1921, reportedly on the orders of members of the Royal Institute of International Affairs. The RIIA is an arm of the British Rhodes Roundtable Group, founded by British imperialist and Freemason Cecil Rhodes. The Roundtable, functioning through a myriad of offshoots, has been the century's most effective proponent for the creation of a one-world government. Tavistock relies on grants from its operations from the Rockefellers, Carnegies, the British Home Office, and large anonymous grants. Initially run by British military intelligence officer Major John Rawlings, from its inception, Tavistock was intended as a coordinating center for planetary social control, using psychological shock troops, a term coined by Rees. These shock troops in white lab coats have fanned out across the planet, infiltrating organizations in order to implement policies deemed productive by the organization's strategists. At core, Tavistock consists of Freemasonic British intelligence agents collaborating with the Hydra heads of world psychiatry to achieve two goals. Number one, a one-world order, where the nation-state has been abolished, and a single totalitarian control center established. Number two, the simultaneous psychological control of the world, or using their term, societry. Even the official literature of Tavistock is candid in admitting its broad world mind control orientation. In 1932, German psychologist Kurt Lewin, one of the creators of the American OSS intelligence network, precursor to the CIA, took over the steering of Tavistock from Rees. Lewin was an early proponent of the use of trauma for reprogramming both individuals and societies. His modus operandi, possibly more than merely an analog of the Freemasonic dictum ordo ab chaos, meaning order out of chaos. Lewin's theory was the origin and definition of the concept of future shock, written by Tavistock-associated Alvin Toffler. Although Toffler promotes the idea that current cultural deconstruction and leveling is an accident, it is not. This Tavistock signature approach, this future shock reprogramming of the subject to a vegetative state for torture and trauma, or subsequent reprogramming, is the recurrent methodology for world mind control, as well as cultural programming in the 20th century. Dr. William Sargent of the Tavistock Institute, reported to have been at the time working in the CIA's MK-Ultra mind control program, in his 1957 book Battle for the Mind, A Physiology of Coercion and Brainwashing, elaborated on Lewin's theories by stating, "Various beliefs can be implanted in many people after brain functioning has been sufficiently disturbed by accidentally or deliberately induced fear, anger, or excitement. Of the results caused by such disturbances, the most common one is temporarily impaired judgment and heightened suggestibility. Its various group manifestations are sometimes classed under the heading of the herd instinct, and appears most spectacularly in wartime, during severe epidemics, and in all similar periods of danger, which increase anxiety, and so individual and mass suggestibility." During World War II, Tavistock ran the British Psychological Warfare Directorate, and the group maintained its military orientation after the war. Tavistock agents have penetrated American intelligence agencies, psychiatric institutions, industry, media, and political organisms, firmly guiding those bodies in alignment with the purposes of the Tavistock controllers. Spreading out from Tavistock, agents have been present at the creation of institutional centers, such as the Stanford Research Institute's Center for Advanced Behavioral Sciences, the Sloan School at MIT, the Wharton School of Finance and Business Administration at the University of Pennsylvania, the Institute for Social Research at the University of Michigan, and many other locations. The Tavistock network has also influenced and penetrated such groups as ESALA, the RAND Corporation, the Hudson Institute, and the Heritage Foundation. A key thrust of Tavistock has been accomplished by the National Training Laboratory's sponsoring group encounter or sensitivity programs involved in breaking down an individual's personality and reconstructing reconstructing it along lines agreeable to the group. A microcosmic intervention intended to gradually bring about the macrocosm of the New World Order. It is estimated that millions of persons have been put through this type of processing, including most of America's corporate leaders and officials from the State Department, the Navy, Department of Education, and the National Education Association. Although touted as a tool for personal and organizational liberation, sensitivity programs are also an effective tool for control along the lines the group leader desires, as has been effectively demonstrated through the use of similar methods in cultic groups, such as Charles Manson and Jim Jones. Tavistock is invariably portrayed in its literature as being a non-political organism, but the lie is apparent. As an example, one recent Tavistock project is Smart Cards, a pilot program done in collaboration with Manchester Metropolitan University on behalf of the European Commission. This project, for putting a person's work history and skills, including academic accreditation, onto a single ID card, is being carried out in Europe and America, and is intended to gradually facilitate the creation of a universally policed and regulated world economic system. And so, with that last point, we see that, outside of Bilderberg Group or Trilateral Commission, these groups, these think tanks that everybody else knows of, Tavistock is obviously a much lesser known, pretty much it's like a psychological operation. It's a psychological warfare operation. It's it's a psychological institute, and it's also a think tank. And we've seen that the Bilderberg Group and the Rockefellers and their speculations on how the future will unfold have already unfolded. And the same goes here with the Tavistock Institution. Like I said, with that last part, the Smart Card Initiative was started by the Tavistock Institute, and now in this day and age, this book was written in 2000s, it's now 2012, a majority of the citizens of Europe are already forced to comply with a Smart Card Initiative, with a European national ID card. The same is happening here in America with the enhanced driver's license. So pretty much, these major changes in the society or society are pretty much panned out and planned out by these social planners. And the Tavistock Institute is one of the lesser known ones. So if you can, just go out, look this stuff up, look at how much influence they really have. And with that, we're just going to move on to the next chapter.